like to begin this sermon by asking Kyle Matthews to come up here and preach the same sermon that he preached last week. I'll just be seated, Kyle, and I'm sure you remember it. If you have not heard that sermon, I implore you to go online and listen to that, or invite Kyle over to dinner and he could preach it to you in your home if you don't have a computer. But please do that. The context within which we gather for worship this morning is the staff reductions that were formally announced this past week. It's been, as you would imagine, a tough week around here, a bewildering, disturbing, and unsettling time. Change is inevitable, and we experience all kinds of change all throughout life. Individuals, families, institutions, organizations of all kinds change. The world is constantly changing. And change is an essential part of life. But sometimes change can also shake us to the core. Sometimes change is just plain hard and painful to accept and to endure. All of us either are or at some point will be acquainted with grief. So even if you are visiting with us today and not a part of this congregation and maybe not aware of the situation within our congregation, I trust that this sermon will be for you as well. The staff changes, the reductions in staff announced last week, have created an unfamiliar landscape around here. Things don't look and feel the way they looked and felt just a couple of weeks ago. Things literally aren't the same. We're in a new situation. And the result of that, of course, is a good deal of anxiety and uncertainty. There's an old Buddhist story about a man on horseback who was galloping past a Buddhist monk. And the monk yells to the man on horseback, "Hey, where are you going?" And the man on the horseback yells back, "I don't know where I'm going. Ask my horse." That's a little bit the way it has felt around here the last few days. Staff members and their families, and indeed our entire congregation, has been negatively impacted by this situation. But this morning I'm going to attempt to say a few words about the meaning of hope. And then after that I will describe for you what I see as a very impressive and inspiring and even amazing demonstration of hope. A number of years ago, John Claypool spoke here in our church. Many of you heard him, I'm sure, and you are familiar with John Claypool's story. Claypool knew something about despair and grief, as probably many of you know. He was serving as the pastor of Crescent Hill Baptist Church in Kentucky, and his daughter, Laura Lou, was diagnosed with acute leukemia when she was just 8 years old, and she died 18 months later. Claypool wrote a book. It's really a compilation of sermons that he did. It's called Tracts of a Fellow Struggler. And this book is about the emotional and spiritual struggles that he went through during Laura Lou's illness and in the months after her death. It is still one of the best books that I've ever read on grief. But when John spoke here at our church several years ago, he said these words: "Hope can spring up in situations that look hopeless." And he also said these words: "Hope is the presence of light even in the midst of darkness." And perhaps Claypool's most familiar and most quoted line, "Hope is to the human spirit what air is to the lungs." That's something that we need to be reminded of right now as a congregation. I think that no preacher worth his or her salt would attempt to say very much about the nature of hope without reference to the great German theologian Jürgen Moltmann. Moltmann was born in Hamburg, Germany in 1926, and as a 19-year-old man, he was drafted into the German army. And apparently, and I would say fortunately, Moltmann wasn't much of a soldier. He served for 6 months in the army, and the very first time that he spotted a British soldier, he threw down his weapon and raised his hands and surrendered. For the next 3 years, Jürgen Moltmann spent those 3 years, in several different prisoner of war camps in various places across Europe. And during those years, he saw many of his fellow prisoners give up all hope. He saw them collapse inwardly, as he described it. Moltmann had grown up in a secular family, no strong religious background at all, but in a POW camp in Belgium. Bert Strange, you know this story, and I'm sure you like this part of it. In a POW camp in Belgium, he had a very profound religious experience. A military chaplain gave Jürgen Moltmann a Bible. And while he was there behind barbed wire in a prison camp, he began for the first time in his life to read words like these: "Why are you cast down, O my soul? Why are you disquieted? Hope in God." And words like these: "For God alone my soul waits in silence. My hope is from God. Out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice. I wait for the Lord. My soul waits, and in his word I hope." Words like these fed Jürgen Moltmann's spirit and instilled in him a sense of hope, even in what looked like a desperate and very hopeless situation. So I want to share with you 2 points in particular about hope, points that Moltmann has made. These 2 particular points have spoken to me at a very deep level over the last few days, and I hope they will speak to you as well. First, hope is not simply being optimistic that everything's going to turn out down the road. Christian hope is not the same as having a positive attitude, as valuable as it is to have a positive attitude. Hope is not pretending or faking positive emotions. Christian hope is not a "the sun will come up tomorrow" view of life. Living in hope does not mean denying, suppressing, or skipping over the harsh and painful realities that come our way. Moltmann would have us understand that even for a person of deep faith, pain and suffering remain a cry to which there is no ready-made answer, no easy solution, and no quick fix. So here's the first point. Christian hope is not a matter of maintaining cheerfulness in the face of harsh realities. And here's a second point. Christian hope, faith-centered hope, is not a passive state of mind. From the comfort of my big leather recliner in my den, a piece of furniture that I have come to dearly love, a piece of furniture where I'm looking forward to spending some time this afternoon, as a matter of fact. From the comfort of my recliner, I can do all sorts of wishful thinking, without ever lifting a finger to make any of those wishes come true. Christian hope is not wishful thinking. Christian hope, God-centered, faith-centered hope, goes hand in hand with a call to serve, a call to engage. Hope involves a commitment to do one's part to fulfill that for which you are hoping. Christian hope comes with a challenge, a responsibility to join the effort to make the hoped-for dream a reality. Hope is not passive. Hope is a motivating force that calls us and drives us to action. There is a very wise ancient Jewish statement that goes like this: do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief. Do justly now. Love mercy now. Walk humbly now. We are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are we free to abandon it. Hope is the faith that in every situation, God is present not only with us, but Moltmann would have us to understand God is not only present with us, but God is before us, calling us forward. I believe hope is calling this congregation forward. Now, if it is true that Christian hope is not a denial of negative feelings, not a matter of shoving painful emotions under the rug, and if it is also true that even during the most trying and difficult times of life, that hope can motivate us and invigorate us, and that hope can bear us up and call us forward, then I'd like to report to you this morning that I think that your church staff right now is demonstrating and modeling this kind of hope. I've been amazed by the members of our church staff. I would like to take the credit. I always enjoy taking credit. I really do. But this is not about me. It is about them. It's what I've been observing. It's how your church staff operates. It's who they are. And I'm so grateful and I'm so impressed by them. And I know that you are as well. Now, let me assure you, they are grieving mightily. And all of you know grief from your own experience. And grief can sap your strength. It can be nearly all-consuming. The weight of powerful, surging emotions that are associated with grief can very nearly shut us down emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So do not hear me saying that your church staff is not hurting. They are hurting. We are hurting. But also hear this. Hope is a motivating factor. Hope includes a call. Remember, your church staff is engaged. They are coming together and they're having specific conversations about how to cover various areas of responsibility. They are leaning on each other and helping each other and listening and supporting each other. They are engaged in creative, solution-based conversations about how to keep things moving forward and to avoid letting things slip through the cracks. If you're looking for a staff full of smiling and happy people, if you're expecting joviality and cheerfulness, I suggest you go and visit your local Chick-fil-A restaurant. And that's not where we are right now. We'll get there. But at the moment, anyway, don't expect to find lots of smiling faces around here. But what you will see is serious commitment and determination to move forward. And you will observe a maturity that doesn't sweep pain under the rug, but also doesn't collapse in the face of it. Your church staff is grieving. They are nowhere close to collapsing. They're not in panic mode. They are in a let's come together and get this done mode. Right now, in these tough and challenging and difficult days, hope is bearing us up, and hope is calling us forward. In the last couple of weeks, I have observed in your church staff what Moltmann called an inward drive. It's part of hope. It's a longing, it's a yearning for a way forward. And that is the nature of Christian hope. Not cheerfulness and optimism, hope. Hope from God. That's exactly what all of us need right now. We need openness to new possibilities, an inward drive, and a desire to be actively engaged in pursuing a way forward. This is the nature of Christian hope. We know better than to put a happy face on and to ignore grief, but it is also true that we're not going to stay stuck in despair. This family of faith, our congregation, has an ongoing mission to fulfill. We have needs within our own congregation, and thank you, Eric, and many others. We have needs all around us. And the call to be instruments of God's peace and joy and love and grace and justice is not muffled by the difficulties that we face as a congregation. From 1976 to 1986, this church had a senior minister named David Matthews. He was pretty good. David was and still is an excellent preacher. He's not quite as good as his son, but he's very good. Hear these words from David Matthews. Our endurance is literally, utterly dependent on keeping hope alive. And the strength of our hope will be the strength of our living. This is a community of faith where some amazing things in missions and ministries are taking place right now. We are not coasting, and there is every reason for hope for our future. None of us can begin to imagine what God has in store for this family of faith. I'll conclude with this. Many years ago, when John Williams was about to succeed Arthur Fiedler, who had been the conductor of the Boston Pops Symphony Orchestra for nearly 50 years, someone threw out this question, well, what will the Boston Pops Orchestra play that they have not already played? To which John Williams replied, most of the music we will play has not yet been written. When we consider the future of our church, our vision must be refreshed and energized by a hopeful attitude of expectancy. There is no crisis. There is no painful circumstance in life through which we cannot experience God's grace and hope. In the words of Paul Tillich, even in the depths, we are touched here and there by a power beyond power to heal and to make whole. Now I have a confession. And I know if anybody is sleeping during the sermon, whenever the minister says, I want to make a confession, everybody wakes up. You can't wait. Paula, don't worry. It's okay. confession. This is a sermon on hope, in case you hadn't picked up on that. And there have been moments in the last couple of weeks when I did not feel quite as hopeful as this sermon might lead you to think. I have had my moments. I have had my moments. All of us have. But I am sure, I am convinced, the way forward is in trust, faith, and hope. So let's go forward. Let's go forward together as a community of faith. Let's go forward together in hope. We pray. This prayer is from James Weldon Johnson's song titled, "Lift Every Voice and Sing." God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by Thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in Thy path. Amen.